What's up guys, Bob Buskirk here at ThinkComputers, and today we're taking a look at a new case from Fractal Design. It is their Define R4, and we received the window version. It also comes in a non-window version. It's made to be that really solid gaming case, very quiet as well. So let's just go ahead and take a look. Starting on the front of the case, we have this nice door here, and it looks metal, but it's actually plastic. And we go ahead and open it up here. And there is a foam insert right here, and that is to help with your sound dampening. Of course, this case, it's made to be a little bit more quiet than most cases, so that is really gonna help with that. There are two 5¼ bays, and I really like that there are only two, as I don't even use an optical drive on my systems now. I install everything via USB, and it just makes things so much easier. So having only two means I have a lot more space for hard drives, which we'll see once we get inside. There is a small fan controller right here. It has high, medium, and low. It is labeled by the voltages, so you have 5 volt, 7 volt, and 12 volt. Below that is a large ventilated section, and we can actually open this up by just pressing in like that. And it comes down nice and easy, and you have room for two 140mm fans. There is only one installed, and to actually install them is actually really easy. You just move this down and you can go ahead and put them in just like that. Completely toolless, completely easy and simple. And of course, when you're done, you can go ahead and close it up and lock it into place and put the door back on. Now with the door back on, you're wondering, how do those front fans actually work? We actually have ventilation on each side here, so you know the air is going to come in this way. It's not going to come in directly from the front. At the top of the case is where you're going to find all of your buttons and connections. So dead center is your power button, and then moving to the left you have your reset button and headphone and microphone ports, and then moving to the right you have two USB 3.0 ports and two USB 2.0 ports. Also on top of the case is room for two 120 or two 140mm cooling fans. Now it is covered, and once we get inside you'll see why. We did receive the version of the R4 that does have the side panel. The side panel is actually pretty large, so if you have a water cooling system or something in there that you want to show off, you're definitely going to be able to do it with this. It shows pretty much everything except for your drives, which I do like. At the back of the case, you have another 140mm fan, although there is room for 120 there if you want to put it there. Of course, you have your expansion slots, and you do have one over here where you can install a blower fan or something like that to help cool your video cards. Of course, at the bottom, your power supply is going to be mounted, and there is a removable fan filter here, which is actually really big. It goes across the entire bottom of the case, which is nice. And of course, it's easy enough to put right back in there. You have thumb screws on each of the side panels as well. Before we actually get inside, I wanted to show you the opposite side of the side panel. And even though there is a window, they have included some sound dampening material that goes around the window. Of course, if you had the non-windowed version, this sound dampening material would be on the entire side panel. Now that we're inside, the first thing I want to take a look at is the motherboard tray. Now there are a few things we always like to see on motherboard trays. The first thing is a CPU cutout, which we have quite a very large one right there. And the CPU cutout allows you to install an aftermarket CPU cooler without having to take the motherboard out of the case, which of course is a huge plus. As far as cable routing holes, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. They all have the rubber inserts. Rubber inserts really help out, especially when you're moving your cables around, and if you don't have rubber inserts, sometimes your cables can rip and snag on the hole, so it's good that these have those included. The two 5¼ bays don't have any type of tool system. It's a simple screw system, which I'm actually a much bigger fan of than the toolless systems. There are two large hard drive cages inside. You have a top one here and a bottom one. The top one supports 5 hard drives and the bottom one supports 3. They all have these trays that come out, and they come out just as easily like that, and they support both 2.5" and 3.5" hard drives, and of course they're white, which gives a pretty cool contrast. Let's get this one back in there. And now if we remove these two thumb screws, we can actually move this one out. We can actually take out this top tray, or the top cage rather. Comes out pretty cool just like that. And one thing that's really cool about this is that you can, if you don't want anything there, you can leave it out, but you can also install it, do this the right way here. you can install it at a 90-degree switched angle like that. So you can have, you know, for some odd reason, if you want the hard drives facing this way, you can do that. You can remove it completely, of course, as I said, and you can also remove the bottom one as well with screws on the bottom of the case. On the bottom of the case, you can see where our filter here, actually the one that comes out of the back, goes all the way in here. And there is room for a 120 or 140 millimeter fan. For your power supply, there are 4 rubber feet that keep it off the ground, which is of course going to improve airflow. And there is a little vibration ring right here around the back part of your power supply, which again is going to help keep this system nice and quiet. Moving up, we can see our expansion slots and 140 millimeter exhaust fan. The expansion slots are painted white, which I really like. Again, adds that cool contrast. We've seen that from Fractal Design with almost all of their cases, having this white and black contrast. All the way at the top of the case, you can see where our top fans would go, but of course they're covered with these large, thick pieces of foam. This is again to keep that sound down. Now you can completely remove this if you want to install the top fans, but if not, leave the foam in and your case is going to be much, much more quiet. I've taken the backside panel off of the case so you can see how everything is set up back here. We have all of our cable routing holes. Of course, all of the cables from the front are already routed here. And there are quite a few tie downs as well. So if you have zip ties, you can tie down all of your cables to keep everything nice and neat. There is about 1 inch of space between the motherboard tray and the backside panel. So you shouldn't have any issues, you know, with power supply cables or anything like that with getting this backside panel back on. But that is basically it for our quick overview here of Fractal Design's Define R4. Check back very soon on ThinkComputers.org as we'll have our full written review. And remember guys, if you like our videos, why don't you subscribe? Catch you guys later.